Level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne.
I finished off the pot of chili I made yesterday tonight.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's constantly like, oh.
Oh yeah. No.
I'm like sitting like this, like.
Last night, I gotta send you all the recipe. Actually, last night we had. Here are all the ingredients: it's tortellini, a block of cream cheese, spinach, just leaf spinach, raw spinach, Italian style tomatoes, and Italian sausage. And you basically cook everything, and then you use some chicken broth, and you put it all together and simmers it. Well, then you got that block of cream cheese in there, so it makes it kind of creamy. We were literally in bed. We're in bed, and Julie screamed, "Garbage! Don't do it again!" I mean, screamed. And of course, the whole night, like, she could hear myself. And we're trying to watch TV. So finally I said, "Joel, I have to. I cannot stop." And so literally, I have my own sheet in our bed because I always steal hers. So since we've been married, I have my own sheet. So I cover up in the blanket, and they're just, she's like, incredible. And I don't know to this. I still don't know what it was. I swear to God, it's just her and laying down that bed. It's unbelievable.
The spinach maybe.
Oh God. Oh. I ate so much spinach, my teeth. I don't know if you eat a lot of
Oh
spinach.
yeah, it's iron. Like you have the metal in your mouth.
Oh, it's gritty. Oh God, but I can't help it. I love it.
Oh, I can't stand that.
She was not a happy camper.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, should we keep that story in the beginning of this episode? Bleep out, of course. That's.
That would be funny. That would be hilarious.
Well, we are recording, so
perfect.
Howdy, everybody! Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, laughing at old Core Bandit stories. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I got into a little gaseous food last night and was sounding off, and the old lady did not like it. Made for a good chuckle for me. It is amazing how, like when I need the firepower, I don't have it. When I don't need the firepower, it's here. It's unbelievable.
Have you ever been where you're nothing all day, nothing, yeah. And the second you walk in and you're in the presence of your wife?
Oh yeah.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
She doesn't believe me when I say. I promise you, this is the first time. It's like I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it, and I think it's proof that God's got a sense of humor. I mean, it's just, oh God, it's incredible.
I say if you just laugh, it'd be better. Oh
yeah, absolutely. And of course she's screaming. I'm like, well, all the other wives, they don't be screaming. She goes, well, I don't think they like it either. Well, no, I don't think so. I love it.
Doesn't necessarily scream. She just says,
yeah,
you're an idiot.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Gotta laugh during these times.
Oh yeah. But we're talking about. Here's a good segue. We're talking about something that what we were just saying is we wish or always hope if it was a guy's only trip. Especially now it's hunting season. You're in a hunting or whatever with the guys.
Oh yeah.
It's always good to have something funny to laugh at.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's when you purposely try to destroy your bowels, so you can make your I won't say your boyfriend, but your dude friends miserable.
Right.
Especially if you're hungover and hunting in the blind early in the morning. God.
So hey, speaking of hunting,
yes.
What were we going to talk about tonight? Oh yeah, we're getting almost to I guess when this episode airs, it'll be the Thursday right before opening day rifle season in Texas.
Yep, absolutely. It is going to be a glorious weekend for a lot of our fellow Texans, and a bad weekend for the deer. Typically how it goes. But yeah, no. Opening weekend of rifle season, eerily similar to the opening weekend of dove season. I think I will go out on a limb and say that opening weekend of Texas rifle season is probably a little bit more celebrated, just because of its colder weather and the fires, and I think a lot more people, as we said before, a lot more people deer hunt than they do dove hunt. But we thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about opening weekend and what makes it special to us, and maybe some memories. And kind of segueing after that, we'll talk a little bit about the fact is there'll be a lot of people out there that are going to shoot their first deer this weekend. Well, it'll be or next weekend, right? Well, actually, it would be this weekend if we're fast forward the time machine. Right. Anyway, so we're going to talk about kind of our first deer experiences, because that's that's something you'll never forget. Especially if you're a longtime hunter like we are. So, so opening weekend of rifle season, Jimbo. What does it mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think number one, it's really kind of I'll touch on kind of what you said. It's kind of like opening weekend of dove season, but it's different in the sense. It's the same in the sense of it feels like it's always a weekend that brings all like old friends together, and maybe people that from out of town they haven't seen for a while, but y'all have the same kind of thing drawing you in together to spend a good weekend and laugh, camaraderie, this, that, and the other. But also, it's like there's just something about, I don't know, with deer. A deer is and this is obvious, I think. I know a deer is a big animal versus dove. Yep. Dove are fun to shoot, but a deer is something different.
That's true.
It's something that you see walking around out there, 100 and something odd pounds up to whatever, and it had one or many mates at the time, probably has little kids running around, so there's some sort of ecosystem there, and you feel something is just all about it, and it's getting colder outside. Just all these things that come together to give it kind of an aura, I guess is what I'm trying to get. Like
couldn't have said better.
Just a different feeling of like, I don't know, not to be, kind of fruity or whatever, but like you're more one with nature, I think.
Oh yeah.
Once deer season arrives, the winter's coming, you're having to typically, not all the time in Texas, put on jackets and warmer clothes and get out there. And I don't know, it's not like dove where you more or less shoot whatever dove you see, or you try to, you have to think more, you have to, consider a lot of different factors when you're looking for deer or a particular deer, or let's say you're trying to manage the deer population where you are. It's just kind of all those factors come together to where, working with your friends and your buddies about, helping each other out, what you see, what you didn't, you bring in your kids or whatever, and you're trying to teach them how to go about doing it rather than, okay, that's a dove shoot.
Absolutely.
All those things, I guess, come together, like I said, to kind of just, it changes things to where it's like, it marks, to me, that marks more than anything, like, a new phase in your life that year, more or less, you know what I mean? Like dove is a signaling of spring and summer and all that stuff, whereas opening weekend of deer season is like, okay, this is now the beginning of a great time of year. The best time of year.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I don't know if that made any sense, but it's like
no, it absolutely does. It's there is a strain, there is an aura about it. I'd say for me, God, I've been doing it for so long, but but opening weekends is kind of funny. Opening weekends are I'm not going to say a relatively new thing for me, but they are definitely they were definitely something that I wasn't always invited to. Growing up and hunting in Menard, Texas, and Throckmorton, Texas, the kids, were not allowed to come opening weekend. It was just the dads, and of course you'd hear all the stories. So, getting an invite to opening weekend, that was a big deal, and we didn't get an invite. I did not get an invite to opening weekend in Throckmorton or even on our Shackelford place until I was in college. And I remember thinking, wow, like this is big,
You've made it.
I've absolutely, it's like being at the adults table at Thanksgiving, It's like, hey, all right, stepping up,
The similar thing that I felt was, and this is not a couple of years ago, only because I hadn't been around a lot of country club swimming pools a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but when we got our membership to the club we were members of for just a little bit, it was the first time that I ever went swimming in the adult pool.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was always like kind of off limits, and I never really went back to those type of pools once I kind of
sure
stuff like that. So I never really thought about it. But then the first time I got in, it took me back to like, man, I remember that.
Yeah.
We couldn't
I've stepped up in the world.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. So, for me, it was, not really being able to participate in that. Now, of course, when Rancho Bandito came around, it was completely different. And just like you, I think, dove season is kind of the symbolic opening of hunting season. And, you got obviously hunting and all the football, but you don't have the cooler weather, So really the deer season piece with the cooler weather. And like you said, the jackets and hanging out by the fire and telling stories, that is, I think what's really, really great about, about deer season. The other thing is, and I think you nailed it, and we're not taking anything away from dove, but, the fact of the matter is you can go out there and kill 15 dove a piece, whereas, on a normal hunting situation, you can only have 1 or 2 deer, and there's, and it's not easy, and there's preparation and there's practice, moreover, you've got to be quiet and stealthy for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's just a lot more, things that go into, having a successful hunt. And if you're able to do it, it's just kind of like the boom. Even now, still, when I drop a deer, I mean, there's just this rush, appreciation for the animal, of course, but also like, man, I did it. And of course, I've killed bajillions of deer, so. So I think all of that kind of, really, really kind of builds up, and that's what makes it so cool. But I also agree with your thoughts of, people coming from different parts of the state and, and telling stories. I remember fondly as a kid in Throckmorton, we had a porch, and of course there was just a dirt porch, and it had an old corrugated steel roof. And right in the kind of the outside of it, just facing out into the just pure blackness of the Northwest Texas night, there's this big potbelly stove, and so we would all gather around that. We'd light a big mesquite fire in there, and we would just tell stories, or we wouldn't, me and my my colleagues, other kids, we just sit around and listen for hours and hours and hours. And it was absolutely fascinating, and just listen to different deer stories. And it was unbelievable. I still remember some of those stories, to date. And so, man, and those were kind of, those were at all deer camps, or at all times during the year at deer camp. But, it seems like always, the best storytelling was done, kind of that opening weekend. So, it's just it's a real magical time of year. And
it's a tradition for sure. I mean,
it is definitely.
It's opening weekend, right? It
is opening weekend. It is opening weekend, and it's a damn shame that there's some folks in the world, like the people who invented gymnastics, who don't take opening weekend into consideration. So, maybe they, instead of holding a 5-year-old's gymnastic presentation on Saturday, first weekend of Saturday, like it's currently happening to me, maybe they just don't do it, or they do something virtual. But bad news. I'm going to be missing. It's only been my second opening day to miss. One time I was in California when I was looking for multiple ways to kill myself, but couldn't. I couldn't get out the window. The sheets wouldn't hold me. And so,
because those are the sheets, thick enough to hold you. Are probably
to hold my weight, right?
Just paper sheets there, so it's
exactly. Well, and the other thing,
recyclable or something.
Yeah, there's no concrete below because it's all foliage, all natural.
Right.
So I would have lived, So, yeah. Well, okay. So kind of moving on, there's going to be a lot of people, probably more than most. I'm not going to say more than most years. Thank you. Wow. But they're talking about hunting license numbers being up for 2020, which is great. And of course, they're contributing some of that to COVID. Who knows? But
how would they make that connection?
I don't know. It's the government. I don't know. But there are going to be a lot of first-time hunters, whether they're male, female, kid, wherever it's going to be. But there's going to be some first deer shot. There next weekend, or this weekend, I should say. There are going to be some new hunting careers that have started here, and it's a really symbolic. And I remember my first deer, like it was yesterday, and I know you probably remember yours. So we thought it'd be kind of fun. I don't think we've ever done it before, but to share that first harvest, if you will. With everybody.
I wonder if that might have been why I have a love for spikes. Truly, the thing I remember the most was thinking or kind of worrying how nervous I would be.
Yeah.
When the time came.
Right.
But then after the time happened, thinking back, wow, it felt like it was maybe my adrenaline. They say, I guess your adrenaline is what causes your buck fever. Right? I mean, your blood you pumping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I remember when I actually did it and I took that shot, and this is how I am still to this day. I get a little bit like my heart picks up a little bit, but it's not until I pull the trigger and then I see that animal on the ground, and then
really?
That's when I have the buck fever.
Oh no, I didn't.
It's after, yeah.
Wow.
But I remember that surprising me at that time because you'd always hear about all this, right?
Me,
hey, yeah.
Awful. Oh yeah. God, you would think I was shooting a Yeti, which it is unbelievable. How I get the fever. God, still to this day.
But I remember I remember that I surprised myself that it kind of didn't happen, because I was so focused and I was like, please just do it on the first, have a shot and have it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was just because, after, I guess I sat for maybe, was it 2 years in blinds before I actually shot a deer?
No, I
don't know.
No, I thought maybe one.
Yeah, maybe one, I guess.
Maybe one.
But, seeing y'all shoot and everything like that, and, I sat with you where you shot.
Yeah.
And you were with me when I shot my first, if you remember.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, and to this, like I said, to this day, that's kind of how it happens for me. But I remember, and then once I got that buck fever after I shot, at the same time that I was freaking out, I had on the other shoulder, I had a sense of relief.
Oh yeah.
It was like, okay, in a way, it's like, okay, got that out of the way. The first one, now it's like, okay, there's that kind of weight on you so much anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's like you joined the club, kind of,
Yeah.
You had your first, and
absolutely.
I don't, that's kind of really, I mean, that's the main thing I kind of remember is really more how I felt than anything.
Right.
I think that kind of like, in a way, kind of clouded my even memory of the actual situation. It was more like the overall how I felt when I felt like, okay, I'm finally now, as I said, I'm now part of the tribe.
Exactly, right.
And that was really, I had been dove hunting with you guys and all that stuff by that point.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like the final, I don't know, initiation action or something.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I mean, as far as the pecking order is concerned on animals, that the deer is kind of like the one. It is the one. If you can do that, and you're a good enough shot and have the confidence, that's definitely that's a level up, to the next step. Yeah. And maybe for you, you didn't have the initial fever that I think like what I get, for example, maybe because you did it when you were a little bit older. You were able to kind of hold your emotions maybe a little bit more, whereas me, oh my God. So my first deer was November 1992. So I was 12. I had shot like 2 hogs I shot one when I was 10, I think, and one when I was 11. And so that was kind of my warming up. And again, this is Throckmorton. We didn't have Rancho Bandito, so it wasn't like we could go down there every other weekend. It's crazy to think about it now. God, how spoiled we are to be able to kind of go when we want to, per se.
Yeah, just for reference to folks out there, mine was after college, like right after college. So basically 10 years, a little over difference in age. So you're right. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and so I think also that I'm just a freaking emotional basket case. I can cry on contact. I mean, it's like really.
I do now.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's turning 39, 40 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to make fun of my dad because he would tear up in movies and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And now, I mean, it's the littlest thing in like a movie or something.
Oh yeah.
Especially if it's like a guy with his kids or whatever.
Oh yeah.
His little kid, like Jeb's age or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And and it's a little emotional, has the emotional music,
Yeah.
I feel it, and I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Oh yeah. No, it's your breast milk coming in. That's definitely it. Yeah, I mean, like I can't watch the Alamo because I just get too emotional. I can't watch Gods and Generals. Yeah, it's awful, absolutely awful. I just cannot because I get so worked up.
Yeah.
And anyway,
just imagine if they hadn't mistaken Stonewall Jackson for.
Yeah, I know. God, it wouldn't be in this predicament anyway. Yeah, so I tell you, my first deer, again, we were. It was kind of funny, and actually, one of my dear friend is going to be listening to this. So here it is, November 1992, and so one of my lease mates, my father's best friend, his son and I were are very close. And so when we would always go to the lease together, we would always shoot bows together. We were constantly on the move together, And so when we became old enough to actually shoot deer and not just, fiddle fart around the blind and freeze our ass off and sleep in owl crap, those things that kids do in kind of Northwest Texas. I'll never forget. I was in the shower. Okay, this is a stupid memory for things that really don't. I was in the shower Sunday night. Okay, and my dad kind of knocks on my door. He's like, "Hey, just want to let you know, Eric shot his first buck." I never forget just this wave of mother.
You're right.
jealousy that just came over me. God, it was. Of course, I was happy for him, but then I was like, I hate him. I can't stand this guy. Just kidding. I'm saying all this because I know he's going to be listening.
The pressure's on you.
Oh, I know it is.
Gotta get out there.
Of course, yeah. My tongue welled up with canker sores. I'm like, I'm freaking out here. I got to do this. And it was funny because he actually shot the deer, and the deer had run a little bit, and I think they found it. Sunday morning. You think they found it Sunday morning. It's a great picture. Erickson.
So he shot it Saturday night, and they found it.
Yeah, I think yeah. And of course, this is before cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
So, so I remember there's a great picture of Eric. Craig, again, how I remember this. He's wearing a Chicago Bulls hat, which I think is hysterical. And he's wearing his Canadian tuxedo. He's got a jean jacket on it and blue jeans, which of course I had too. And he's holding the 7-point buck, beautiful deer. But you can look behind him; it's just pit clean. That guy was just obliterated.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it's an awesome picture. And I tell you what, we'll see if he can.
Yeah.
So that was it, man. I mean, here this Sunday, I'm like, man, this is it. I got to answer. We were kind of like the U.S. and Russia. He was Russia, of course, and I was the good old United States. I ain't gonna let no Ruski get one up on me, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure we've come to the root of your book fever here.
God, that may be it. It's all Eric. You hear me? You owe me. God,
good job.
That's the reason why I'm fat. Yeah, yeah, man. Anyway, I'll send you the bill, buddy. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so I think it was like that. And I remember saying to my dad when I got out of the shower, I'm like, okay, when are we going? When are we going? And again, one of those things we didn't go every weekend. It was a drive and a trip, and God, and I never forget when it was my time to go. I was like, here we go. This is it, baby. Give me time to get working here, and I was ready to roll. And I remember Friday night struck out. It's crazy. I don't remember where we were. Actually, God, I do remember where we were. Oh my God, we were at a blind called Northwest. And Northwest was a blind that was, it was on the West Hill. Just beautiful. Jimmy, I wish I could have shown you it. Just miles of country and just rolling hills, awesome. Gorgeous. And we used to corn this road, and then we had a feeder down here. I remember we had a spike come out, and he kind of hopped on the road. And I remember I was shooting. .6. My grandfather's 30-06, which he had given me, so it was a really cool, symbolic deal. And of course, it had a scope, from 1920 on there. And I think it was a -5 power.
Right.
I remember.
Why does it look farther when I look through?
Oh yeah. I'm like, God, really? Are we trying to? Was this invented by deer? I didn't know.
Right.
And so I remember trying to get the gun out, and of course, here I am, 12 years old, tinkling in my britches. I'm so nervous. Dad's probably got onion, cigar, and Scotch breath, and I'm having sensory issues. And the bottom line is the deer won, and he scampered off, and I'm probably like poopy pants, right. And probably thinking other things. So,
right.
That was that was Friday night, because remember we made it for the evening hunt Saturday morning. Don't remember we struck out. Saturday night. This is it. This is the big to do. And so we went
more pressure. So here's an added piece to the buck fever, right? It's
oh yeah, pressure. Yeah,
right.
Pressure. Oh God. Well, I'll tell you the other thing is, I could fit in the toilet. I was going to say, when I got older and bigger, with that potty at Throckmorton, you couldn't fit in there. I just hold my crap the whole weekend. I'm taking field notes. Miserable. How are you going to shoot with the full colon? Tell me that. I don't know.
Is that why you bought the bumper dumper?
Well, yeah, they didn't have that. It wasn't cool to drive pickups. But believe me, that we wore that thing out. Anyway, so Saturday night rolls around, Saturday evening rolls around, and Dad goes, "Where you want to go?" And we had two properties. They were connected to each other. We had the old property, and we called the new property, and original. And we had one blind on the new property called 4-Way. And we were talking to Joseph about it, one of our listeners. And 4-Way was a blind where it was literally 4 ways. The blind was situated right in the middle of the road, okay? And you could see 4 different directions, okay? So you had to have your head on a swivel. And we had a feeder kind of down here, and there was a tank kind of behind it. So it was a really good spot. The problem is, again, you had to have your head on a swivel, and it was the thickest mesquite country. God, it reminds me a lot of kind of like in South Texas, where you can't see past the road. So if a deer doesn't come out of the road, you're screwed. So, God, I can still remember. I can actually take you there, which is crazy, and it's been so long. But I remember, the feeder went off and nothing showed up, and then and all of a sudden here comes the spike. And I remember my dad saying, "Okay, this is it. This is time." I'm like, "Oh my God, this sucks. I don't want to do this." And I remember I can't remember if I was in my dad's lap or not, because those blinds were not meant for kids. And even though I was a little taller than the average bear, still don't think it was meant for them. So maybe I was. And I had the gun out the window, and of course, boy, that just when my dad said, "Okay, here he is, let's do this,"
it's like,
and I could feel my body about to explode, my heart. It was unbelievable. And I get up there, and of course, I'm trying to squeeze down this. I'm a little spike. I'm like a freaking jackrabbit. I mean, when I say spikes, let's put it this way: if somebody shot this, actually, about like that, if somebody shot this spike at Rancho Bandito right now, I would shoot him. He may have been 2 inches, but it is what it is. And look what it did to me. I've been hooked ever since. So. I got that big, 160 grain Nosler 30-06, and I just. Basically, typical, shut the eyes and pull the trigger, and I just
shut the eyes, pray, pull the trigger.
Oh yeah. Just hoping that this self-guided bullet finds the idol. And boom, blew that deer down. I remember looking through the scope and seeing the deer. I can see the white of the belly just completely blew him down. Like, nope, he dead. And I remember crying a little bit, because I'm just like, man, it's just wow, And Dad was hugging me, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, he's like, okay, let's give him a few minutes. And that's I've learned so much from my dad. But the one thing he, and still is, kind of insistent on is, just give it a few minutes. You just never know, and it's just such valuable information. So we go up, we gave it probably like 10, 15 minutes, something of that nature. The other thing he taught me is, dial your scope down. So we're like at a 9. He dialed it down to like a 2, and put another one in the chamber, and the heat was going up there. So we walk up there. And as we're rounding the corner, or not rounding the corner, as we're kind of coming up with the hill, we can see the feeder. We see my buck basically on his back, but still kind of moving his head. And you can see this, huge. It would clip a lung, but it was more gut than lung. And all of a sudden we look behind my buck, who's down for a count, and there's another buck, and he's got 4 points, and then this gnarled mass. Literally like this. Just like I've never seen anything like it.
Awesome.
So, of course, Dad's got a bull, and he's like, "Here we go," and you plug your ears. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I went up my ears. Dad fires. They both run off.
Oh, so yours got up and ran?
Yeah. So mine
really?
got up and ran. Because it was 30-06 at 10 yards. The dead would get up and run. So both of them ran off. Now I'm really freaking out, and of course we had the 10,000-pound mag light, and Dad's deer was a lung shot, and he was right there. And I guess that little sprint that my deer made was the last one he could make too. So he keeled over too. So
how far did he go?
Like 30 yards.
Yeah,
30 yards, and that was it. And he pumped out, and he was done. Of course, the 30-06 on a jackrabbit. Just there's nothing left, as far as that. So, this was before hitch hauls were invented, right? And, my dad, I guess, time to think about, I don't know why we did this, but we had that old 1989 Jeep Sahara, and so we put him in the back seat, but
really?
We folded the seat up, and of course the gut shot deer. So the whole, I'm like, Dad's drinking his MGM or his MGD, driving. I'm like, trying to suck down a high C as I'm dry heaving. And if it weren't for Dad's cigar and the music, I'd probably have vomited everywhere. So, but God, what a relief, and what a celebration. And I remember that night, Dad was cleaning it for me and all that kind of stuff. So it's funny because, what Dad said to me, I say to other people. I'm like, you clean, I'll clean the first couple for you, and then it's all you.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what happened. So.
And now you're cleaning his as well.
Yeah. 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 And it's safe to say that I have repaid him 10 times over when it comes to playing deer. Oh my God. But that's it, man. That was my first deer as a young lad. And of course, that was kind of a gateway drug. That was my marijuana. Yeah. And then after that, I mean, it was straight up Oxycontin, brushing my teeth with Coke, deer hunting. I mean, it was crazy. I was a killer. And so my official name became Richard the Coal Killing Kinchelo. Because I would purposely, just like you, I would purposely, and the way it worked at our deer lease and a lot of deer leases is that, you get a couple of bucks, couple of does, whatever it may be, but typically the dads, the paying members, they're going to get their money's worth if they see a good deer to shoot. So, I would always shoot I'd shoot some coals and, God, I've got some beauties. Still got the antlers, still got the pictures, but that was kind of my thing. So
you still have the antlers or the skull of the first one?
I do, absolutely. Nice. It's at my parents' house, and it's at my parents' house. Dad got me the little muff, with the bikes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I got all the pictures there and everything. So I'll see if maybe I can dig it up and so. I slept good that night because I was emotionally drained.
Yeah, you probably weren't drunk. Not yet, at least.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. Yeah, well, and so also that's what started the great competition between my dear friend Eric, and it got so, of course, it was all fun, but it got, well, not really, but it got so, crazy sometimes that, like, both he and I, it was probably mainly me, because I'm such an emotional little bi, that, I remember, like, we would struggle to sometimes, like, find deer to shoot. It's crazy, so a lot of times we change it up. Eric would go with Dad and I go with Mr. Anderson. And it was so funny because we changed it up and it worked.
Yeah.
So I remember I blasted a couple of spikes, Mr. Anderson, and Eric did great with Dad. It was crazy. Yeah. God, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
the last time I shot a deer on a Sunday morning was with Mr. Anderson.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah. Aren't you? Yeah, I remember, in college, we were really anti-Sunday morning, and it had nothing to do with the Sabbath. Nothing. Just wanting to sleep in, tired.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. But now we're kind of starting to buck that trend too. I mean, if we've had a great weekend, there's always next week. But I've been getting up and well, yeah. I mean, last year I got up a lot. On Sunday morning, of course, I went duck hunting, which is
right. We won't go there.
Oh, I can't wait. I got up so ready. I've been wearing out YouTube.
You got that? You probably got the email, that one that I forwarded you about how they're talking about the plethora of young ducks supposedly up north.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, they had a pretty good breeding season up there, which. They got to be careful because if they Ducks Unlimited, great organizations, by the way, Delta Waterfowl, Ducks Unlimited, they can't be too positive because people will stop giving them money. It's kind of like the quail, the bobwhite quails. They're doing great. We're fine. We're fine. No. They're always going to be having problems.
Yeah, that's the irony of organizations like that. Not just right. Maybe not them, particularly, but just in general, anything that needs your money to fix a crisis. Well, if the crisis goes away, then
right, exactly.
Yeah, I would say they're nature's going to do what nature's going to do, right? Yeah. So at least they're there to help.
Oh, there's no doubt. Oh my God!
There'll always be something to do.
It'll be very interesting. Speaking of nature and human intervention and whatnot, we were talking. I don't know when it was, a month or so ago, or maybe it was me. I was talking about the early waterfowl article by that one of DU's wildlife guys, talking about how one of the most the areas that needs help the most has been the Louisiana coast. And of course, the Louisiana coast, unfortunately, has been the target of like 15 freaking hurricanes. They got another one coming right now.
Yeah,
you know, and
it may be gone by the time people hear this.
Right. Oh, God, idiot.
Oh,
yeah, this is not a new one. This is not a new one. Oh my God. Yeah, no, God, you're totally right. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be really curious. Yeah, Zeta. Was it Maria Theta? Something is Zeta? What was that?
No, something like that.
Yeah, that's an old tech thing. Anyway, it was.
I don't know.
Yeah. But there was but it's going to be really interesting, you know, with this huge front that we had through, you know, that literally, I mean, God, what was Dallas damn near hit freezing, and Lubbock it was snowing, you know, it was crazy. I'd be curious to see, obviously we had a bunch of birds come down is what the whole point is. And I'm curious to see, you know, with the hurricane coming in, you know, what's that going to do to all those migratory birds? Is that going to push them to the east, or is it going to push them down to Texas? I would think that they would probably keep heading south and you know, coming to Texas. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm not looking.
You'll find out soon enough.
Oh yeah. Well, Dad was surprisingly, Dad was actually giving me good scouting reports. And he was like, yeah. It was detailed too. He was like, yeah, there's it's about 15 ducks on a lake, non-teal. I'm like, okay, well that narrows it down. I mean, you know, he's getting good. It's yeah. I don't think DU is hiring, but hey,
all right.
Yeah, because he's finally, after like 20 years of me saying, "You see any ducks? You see any ducks? You see any ducks?" You know, and like you can look at the keypad of my phone; it's weared out. You know, you see any ducks? See any ducks?
Son, I wasn't looking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, just talking to old what's his face, talking about building a 19th hole. Oh my God, let's not do that.
19th hole.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Inside joke.
So on that note, hey, people, all of y'all out there, send us the pictures of your harvests, please.
Yes.
Through deer season, especially off this weekend, opening weekend. You know, send us your and especially first deer pictures.
Oh yeah.
You know, send them along. That'd be great. And if you're okay with it, we'd love to put it on our Instagram. So let us know if you're okay.
Totally.
What else? Just, you know, like I want to say every week, thanks again for everyone who's listening out there, new or old listeners. We really appreciate it. I hope you stick around with what's going on. And last couple episodes, I mentioned that we had Feed Bandit gear now available. So if you like the podcast and you're willing to, you know, help us out, support the show, well, go on to feedbandit.com, check out Bandit gear and services, and one of the links in there was to Feed Bandit gear, or you go feedbandit.com/bandit gear. We'll take you right there, and you can buy all manners of logoed Feed Bandit merchandise. So the purchase of that directly goes back to help supporting the show. So we would really appreciate it. So there's some cool stuff out there. So and I don't know, I'm partial to the Feed Bandit logo and the brand.
That's fantastic.
Myself, so I think it's pretty.
I love it.
So hopefully, other folks will think that as well.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, you got anything else?
That's it. Be safe, man. Be man. Oh my God, I'm so politically incorrect. Be safe, humans.
Y'all be safe, y'all.
Y'all be safe now. You hear? Just think safety, man, because it just takes one screw up to jack it all up. So yeah, I wouldn't sound like a dad, even though I am a dad, but just don't have fun. But yeah, be safe.
Thank you for that reminder, Dad, and
welcome,
everyone out there.
Welcome.
Everyone out there, y'all have good luck this weekend. Let us know what happens, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.